Once, in a small village nestled between green hills, there lived a man named Kale. He was the richest man anyone knew. His house was large, with grand gates and a garden filled with colorful flowers. He owned many fields where tall crops swayed in the wind. He had chests filled to the very top with shiny coins, sparkling jewels, and soft silks. People in the village would often talk about his great wealth. They would whisper about the gold he kept locked away, imagining how heavy it must be. Kale enjoyed being rich. He loved the feeling of cold coins in his hands and the sight of glittering gems. He spent his days counting his money, polishing his treasures, and thinking of ways to get even more. Despite his love for gold, there was one thing Kale loved more than all his riches. It was his daughter, a sweet girl named Elara. She had hair like spun sunshine and a laugh that sounded like little bells. Elara did not care for her father's wealth. She preferred to run barefoot in the garden, chase butterflies among the roses, and listen to the birds sing their morning songs. She was the light of Kale's life. When he looked at her, his heart would fill with a warmth that no amount of gold could ever give him. He would often tell her, "You, my dear Elara, are my greatest treasure." But even with this great love, the desire for more gold was always there, a little shadow in his heart. Kale believed that more wealth would bring more happiness. He thought that if he had more gold, he could buy Elara anything she could ever dream of. He imagined giving her dresses made of the finest silk and necklaces that shone like the stars. He did not understand that Elara was already happy. She did not need expensive gifts. She only needed her father's time and his smiles. She would often pull on his sleeve and ask him to come play with her, but Kale was usually too busy. He was busy planning how to add to his fortune, his mind always on the next coin, the next jewel, the next piece of land he could own. This constant desire for more made Kale a very greedy man. He saw the world not for its beauty, but for what he could own. A beautiful sunset was just a reminder of the color of gold. A field of yellow flowers made him think of a field of coins. He was so focused on what he could get that he often missed the simple joys right in front of him. He missed the beauty of a butterfly resting on a leaf. He missed the sweet smell of the rain on the dry earth. He missed the simple, pure love that his daughter offered him every single day. A love that was far more precious than any treasure he could ever lock away in his big, dark chests. One sunny afternoon, Kale decided to walk through the woods that bordered his property. He was not there to enjoy the cool shade of the trees or to listen to the cheerful chirping of the birds. He was thinking about the trees themselves. He wondered if he could cut them down and sell the wood to make more money. As he walked deeper into the forest, his mind busy with his greedy thoughts, he heard a tiny, faint cry for help. It was so soft he almost missed it. He stopped and looked around, his brow furrowed with annoyance. He did not like being disturbed when he was making his important plans. He followed the sound to a large spider web spun between two old oak branches. Trapped in the sticky threads was a tiny fairy, no bigger than his thumb. Her delicate wings were caught, and she was struggling to get free. Kale had never seen a fairy before. He saw her shimmering wings and the faint, magical light that glowed around her. His first thought was that something so rare must be valuable. Perhaps he could catch her and sell her. But the fairy looked at him with big, pleading eyes, and for a moment, his greed was replaced by a flicker of pity. He gently reached out and carefully freed her from the web, making sure not to tear her fragile wings. The fairy flew up and hovered in the air in front of him, her wings beating like a hummingbird's. "Thank you, kind sir," she said, her voice like the tinkling of tiny bells. "You have saved me. For your kindness, I will grant you one wish. Ask for anything your heart desires, and it shall be yours." Kale's eyes widened. One wish. His mind immediately filled with thoughts of gold. He could wish for a mountain of gold, a river of diamonds, or a castle made of silver. The possibilities were endless, and his greedy heart pounded with excitement. He did not stop to think. He did not consider the consequences. His desire for more wealth was too strong. Without a moment of hesitation, Kale declared his wish. "I want everything I touch to turn into pure, solid gold." The fairy's smile faded a little. She looked at him with a sad expression in her eyes. "Are you sure?" she asked softly. "That is a very powerful wish. Sometimes the greatest treasures are not the ones you can hold in your hand." But Kyle was not listening. He was already imagining his golden world. "Yes, I am sure," he said loudly. "It is all I have ever wanted." The fairy sighed, nodded her head, and with a wave of her tiny wand she whispered, "Your wish is granted." Then she vanished in a shower of golden dust. Kale stood alone in the woods, his heart thumping with excitement. Had it really happened? Was his wish real? He looked down at his hands, which looked the same as always. He felt a small pang of doubt. Maybe it was just a dream. To test his new power, he reached out and touched a small grey stone lying on the path. The moment his fingers made contact, the stone began to glow. A brilliant golden light spread over its surface, and in a blink the dull little rock had transformed into a perfect heavy nugget of solid gold. Kale gasped. It was real. He was overcome with a wave of pure joy and triumph. He picked up the golden nugget, feeling its wonderful weight in his palm. He laughed out loud, a sound that echoed through the quiet forest. He was going to be richer than any king in history. He started walking back towards his home, his steps light and eager. On his way, he could not resist testing his amazing new gift. He touched a low-hanging branch of an oak tree. Instantly, the leaves, the bark, and the wood turned into shimmering gold. The golden branch drooped under its new weight, shining beautifully in the sunlight. He then touched a wildflower, and its soft petals became delicate golden filigree. Everything he touched became a golden masterpiece. He imagined turning his entire house into gold. His chairs, his tables, his bed, everything would be made of the precious metal. He would never have to worry about money again. He would be the most powerful and admired man in the world. As he walked, he created a golden trail behind him. A golden fence post here, a golden apple on a tree there. The world was his golden playground. He felt a surge of power he had never known before. He was no longer just a rich man. He was a man who could create riches with a simple touch. His greed was completely satisfied, and he felt happier than he had ever been in his entire life. As he reached the gates of his grand house, he was so lost in his golden dreams that he did not think about anything else. He was a king, and his kingdom was about to become a monument of gold. The possibilities swirled in his mind, each one more magnificent than the last. He would build a golden stable for his horses and a golden fountain in his garden. He would eat from golden plates and drink from golden cups. He was so consumed by these thoughts of endless wealth that he did not see the one true treasure of his life running out of the house to greet him, her arms wide open for a hug. "Papa!" Elara cried joyfully as she saw her father at the gate. She ran towards him, her face lit up with her beautiful smile. "You're home!" Kale, still dizzy with his newfound power and happiness, opened his arms to embrace his beloved daughter. For a single, terrible moment, he forgot about his wish. He forgot about the golden touch. All he saw was the sweet child he loved more than anything in the world. He hugged her tightly, just as he had done 1,000 times before. But this time, something was horribly wrong. As his hands touched her, a familiar golden glow began to spread all over her. Elara's warm, soft skin grew cold and hard. Her sunny hair became stiff, metallic strands. Her joyful smile froze on her face, turning into a fixed, unmoving expression. In a matter of seconds, his living, breathing daughter was gone. In her place stood a perfect, life-size statue of solid gold. Kale stumbled back in horror, his hands trembling. The golden statue of his daughter gleamed in the afternoon sun, a beautiful but silent monument to his terrible greed. He screamed her name, "Elara, Elara!" But there was no answer. There was only the cold, hard silence of the golden figure before him. His happiness vanished instantly, replaced by a crushing wave of despair and regret. What had he done? He had wished for gold, and now his greatest treasure, the one thing he truly loved, was nothing more than a lifeless object. He fell to his knees and wept, his tears falling on the golden statue's feet. He touched the statue again and again, hoping to reverse the curse, but it remained cold and unyielding. He would have given all the gold in the world, all the riches he had ever owned, just to hear his daughter's laugh one more time, to feel her warm hug, to see her run through the garden again. Kale now understood the fairy's warning. His greed had blinded him. He had been so focused on gaining wealth that he had destroyed the very source of his happiness. He spent the rest of his days searching for the fairy in the woods, hoping she would take back his terrible gift. He learned the hardest lesson of all, that true wealth is not found in gold or riches, but in the love of the people you care about. The story of Kale and his golden daughter became a lesson for everyone in the village. Never be greedy, and always think carefully before you make a wish, because the things we want are not always the things we truly need.